Hello, this is Jer. I'm playing Oxygen Not Included. It has been a week or so since I've played this, so I'm going to do a little bit of a recap here. My base to remind myself what I've been up to and what I want to do from this point on. So, core of the base has meat production going on over here, but I also have started the process of producing pepper bread, and that's thanks to two farms. I've got pepper farm down here for the pinch of pepper plants, and I got Sleet Wheat up in this zone. So that is being produced and then cooked into pepper bread. So that's the food situation. I've got storage of food over here. I might actually try out storage of like fridge down here to store temporary amount of food. So that's one change I'd like to experiment with. Still producing lots of meat thanks to these pips. So I'll continue with that for the time being. Got a washroom, got a place for the dupes to sleep, eat. And now let's look at the actual machinery that's sitting around the base. You've seen the two farms. Well, we've got an oxygen system down here. So this is taking water, converting it to oxygen, and of course a little bit of hydrogen. And we've got 3 lines of oxygen going out towards the base, one of which is idle for the future. So that is set ready to go. And we've got a water system next to that. So this is making sure the water is warm enough, making sure any salt brine is removed, as well as polluted water. And out of that is liquid water that's going to go to various electrolyzers, the washrooms, and other purposes. Further down the base, we have a cooling system over here. That's essentially keeping steam turbines here cool. This is the power production area, an actual power plant for the dupes to be able to get power to create or run all the things. I've been storing brine down here, so that is important, so that this eventually is going to be used for oxygen. I know some of my dupes are idle, so pause things for a moment. Polluted water, slush geyser sits over here, hasn't been producing anything in a bit, and that isn't going to be active for another 32 cycles. But that should be alright. So that is this base. Actually, let's look a little bit further up. I've been carving out this zone here for Sleet Wheat. It is pretty cool. This is one of the things I want to do. Currently, I'm making granite tiles in between where I want to plant Sleet Wheat. And I'm going to be warming this area up. I'm going to have to replace some of this, for instance, abyssalite with metal tiles that I can put in some Sleet Wheat. One of the things, I've been up in space, I've got access to some solar panels, so that's more power production, but I want to go over here and build a research reactor. And I want to have a new design for this to get far more power than I have, taking advantage of the nuclear waste. Alright, before I get started, let's look at the 2 other asteroids. We've got Gray Seal. Not a lot has changed in this. It's pretty much existing to produce plastic over here. So I'm able to create crude oil. Crude oil is converted to petroleum down here. And that is sent into here to be produced plastic, which is eventually sent back to the other base. Still producing meat, thanks to these hatches, and sandstone. And other than that, not a lot going on. Excessive amount of food, so actually maybe I should start bringing that back to the other world. I recently discovered this world over here. I don't have a dupe over here yet. It's just Rover that's in this zone. But setting up some early life support systems. So when the first dupe arrives, I see some oxylites landing. But when the first dupe arrives, they'll be able to have some things already built. Actually, if this robot gets things done, maybe actually to confirm. Oh no, I guess that won't be the case unless I send another rover. I was gonna say maybe it might be a nice opportunity to send some oxylite within the actual asteroid. Anyways, let's get started. I think the first priority is to continue doing construction around here and bring this temperature up, and I like to do that with natural means rather than spending power, because it's a lot easier to heat things up in this game than it is to cool things down. So just notice the stress level of one of my dupes has gone up. That's Sprocket. So what I decided to do is put carpeted tiles underneath the beds so that they get tickled toesies, reducing their stress while they sleep. So hopefully that's going to keep Sprocket happy, as well as any other dupes that get a little bit of stress. Other than that, I'm just going to make sure that their morale stays high, so they're happy with the environment, plus the skill balance that I've given them. Cutting out a little bit of space along this area, because I noticed this natural gas geyser has gone off. That's going to help allow natural gas to fall down and oxygen to go up, so I can ultimately make sure that this guy here pumps it and stores it in the natural gas container that I've got set up over here. The other thing is I've been expanding this line here. This is the transit tube, so we're going to have 2 transit tube access, just to enhance the amount of transit that we can do here, so that I can speed up some of the development that I'm going to be doing in this zone. So now I have more transit areas dropping dupes off in this zone. Even have a fire pole, ladder in this spot. I'm starting to build doors, and this is so that I can actually create these copper tiles. In fact, I think I'm going to even dig these ones out, because you have to divide by 2, but I'll get more copper ore if I actually dig this out and replant it with doors than I will just leaving it. So I'll do that. Of course, I'll have to do that with the abyssite and granite if there's any cases. But anything like mafic rock or igneous rock, I'm just going to leave in place, so that I'll plant Sleet Wheat directly on top of it. First pieces of copper ore have been created by destroying doors. As long as I have tiles all filled around like this, and I destroy this tile, somehow that results in a copper ore sitting right there, and that's 200 kilograms worth. That's why I figure it'd be actually smart to actually dig this out. Gonna try to make it such that I don't actually have any resources in it, so there's nothing buried. We'll see how I do. So once I've got to this point that I've got to 2 copper ores, I now need to destroy this tile, build 2 on the other side, and once that's in place, I'll destroy this, and I'll have 3 tiles that I can plant Sleet Wheat. Of course, I've got to fill in this spot here because this is accessible to space. I want to have oxygen or some other gas for this Sleet Wheat in time. What do we have? There's something behind this. Oh, that's a dupe. Are they? Oh, they would be trapped. They can't actually get up. Okay, well, and that resulted in the door not. Oh, chop, really? Okay, I'm gonna have to just temporarily destroy that so that we can go again. That's, I guess, the disadvantage of putting a door here. If there's something in the door, it looks like this trick doesn't actually work. So that is something I'll have to take note of as I continue this. Okay, so I just realized the problem I have is I didn't have a tile right here. It may not necessarily have been the dupe inside the door. So let's give this another go. I'll destroy this door and I expect to have a 200 kilogram copper ore created right here, because I'm fully surrounding this guy as it's being destroyed. That's putting the 2 pieces somehow of metal ore together. Just like that. There we are. Okay, and with that, I'll now create a tile here, here, and eventually here. And I'll destroy that, and that's going to give me more spots to plant Sleet Wheat in the future. So I've got this ethanol line that's been going around, and I've been sending this in and out of this rocket for the purpose of cooling off a fridge. So if I look at the temperature of the fridge now, it is minus 60, or 36 rather. That is cold enough, so I'm going to stop that process, and we can actually load this fridge up with some food, and we'll send it up, and we can start to produce some data banks with it. noticed natural gas is having a hard time falling down, so added an extra tile that I'm digging out right around here, just to encourage that to make it all the way down to this zone here, so it can eventually be pumped up and doesn't get backed up to my base. Now I am protecting my core base from the natural gas, which is really nice because of this liquid lock. And because the dupes are put on Atmo suits when they go out here, it's not really a problem in terms of the dupes getting access to it. But actually, just noticed I probably want to plug this up right here. Oops. But yeah, it's more of an issue if things become overpressured. And I eventually do want to cook with the natural gas, so it's actually has value in actually eventually getting down here and making its way eventually to the gas range. Up on top of the base, I've been digging out this spot. I've been putting in radiant pipes around here in preparation for ethanol making its way around. So I'll wait for a little bit of that to be created. At the same time, continuing to make some of these natural copper tiles. So with this rocket, I have a frozen fridge. I'm storing food in there. Got water for washroom and exiting water to go out in space. It's also providing, oh, strange graphic there, but it's also providing water for the carbon skimmer. We've got our orbital data collection, which is the whole point of sending this rocket up. We've got some food in the fridge. We've got algae for oxygen, plastic for the sky, and a little bit of amenities for living. Let's now send this rocket up. So I've decided that is going to be... who did I... I've got so many pilots, it's hard to figure out. Blast. So Blast is going to be the pilot. They also have the ability to create some databanks. We're going to change the location to go just outside of this planet. Let's go right there. We can begin the launch sequence. Blast is on their way in. We view the inside of this. I'm just going to click on them so they take their suit off. A little solar panel there so they don't have to provide as much power for themselves. And they should now be in a situation. Oh yeah, of course I have to actually tell this to create stuff. That would be sad if I kept it up there and forgot to do that. There we are. Blast is filling this up. We're going to have the auto sweep to put plastic in for us. And they're going to start to create some data banks for future research. We have a new virtual planetarium, complete with a light source and storage of data banks. And of course an auto sweeper to put data banks within that. The priority of the storage bin is high, so that when the dupe that's up here producing databanks lands, they can quickly take it out and send it over here to be actually used. Because I destroyed a wall here, just going to do a quick check to make sure that room still is in fact a laboratory. It is. Alright, so we're set to go. Up on top of the asteroid, continuing to build more doors so that I can create some copper ore tiles so that I can plant stuff in the future. Continue to do that until all these spots are in existence, aiming for about 200 or so pieces where I can grow some wild sleet wheat in time. So now I have copper tiles wherever I had bisolites, granite, and even replacing copper ore itself. So that exists along 4 levels. So that's going to be lots of future sleet wheat. Now what I'm doing is I'm having pipes put in because I want to put an ethanol line in to do 2 things. One, to warm up this area just a little bit so that it's comfortable. And in fact, there are some spots that's already comfortable. But down here is a little cool. But the other thing that I want to do is have more spots where the current ethanol line is going up to grab coolness to both cool the base itself down with this little block, as well as to cool the food by going in and making sure we've got a frozen zone here. In fact, I don't think this is quite cold enough So doing that should help that significantly. So right now I have an ethanol line that goes through all 4 of these floors. There's not actually enough ethanol in there. I had a little bit of ethanol stored in here that's been drained out. So what I'm going to do is take the little bit of ethanol that I have stored over here and feed that into it. But what this does is it's going to even out the temperature in these zones, because I've got some spots that are actually appropriate temperature to plant some sleet wheat, but some spots are too cold. So this will balance it all out. It's also going to be a future system for maintaining the temperature so that the sleet wheat is happy. Well, with that, I think that's going to be it for today. In the next episode, I'm going to be doing construction over here for building a Red Bull generation place, as well as producing a lot of power. And I'm going to be doing a different design for this than I've done in the past, taking advantage of, or at least I'm going to attempt to take advantage of the nuclear waste, and we will see that coming up. But just before I do that, just a little bit of teleportation, or not teleportation, but transit tube access, so that when we start larger construction in this, we'll have that in place. Alright, well, thanks everyone for watching, and hopefully I will see you in a future episode where we'll continue on and expand this and experiment with nuclear waste up in here. Until then.